Hi everyone, my name's Viki and I run a beef and sheep farm alongside my dad and my auntie in the hills of Angus. Today I'm going to take you for a wee tour around the farm and let you see how we raise sheep from lambs all the way through to fat stock, which we then sell live through the ring. This is an example of an indoor lambing shed. All the ewes that are still to have their lambs are kept in a big group pen together, and once the ewes have had a lamb, they're put into their small individual pens for about 24 hours. This farm split up the ewes according to how many babies they're going to have. Once they've had their babies and been in a pen for about 24 hours, they're put into what we call a mothering pen, where they're let with their babies in a bigger pen to make sure they're fully bonded before going outside. So this is a pair of newly born lambs where their mum is licking them to make sure they're nice and dry and also stimulates them to get up and start suckling. So this is the table that has everything that we need for lambing. We decide to have it all on one table so that everybody knows where it is, and it's got everything that we'll need for a day's lambing. This essential lambing kit doesn't really vary between an indoor or outdoor lambing situation. We have Spectam and iodine. Iodine is sprayed onto the lamb's navel at birth, and this helps to dry the navel up quickly and stop any bacteria getting into the lamb through the navel. Spectam is squirted into the lamb's mouth at birth, and this stops any infectious bacteria getting into the lamb's stomach and making it poorly. Next, we have our essential medicines. These medicines are usually used when there's been an ill ewe or a ewe that's had difficult lambing. The essential medicines usually consist of an antibiotic to kill off infection and a pain relief medicine. Next, we have our examination gloves. These gloves are usually used when we need to lamb a ewe, and it means that we don't spread infection between different ewes because we can just take the gloves off and before we go to the next ewe. Next, we have our marker spray. This allows us to mark a ewe and her lambs with the same numbers, so when they go outside, if a lamb gets split from her mum, we can easily find the ewe and pair them back up again. It is important that a lamb gets its first suckle in the first few hours of life. At this stage, the mum's milk is full of antibodies and it helps the lamb to fight off any infection and to grow big and strong. At this stage, in the first 6 hours, we call the milk colostrum. An outdoor lambing is similar in principles to an indoor lambing, but the ewes are kept outside all the time and only come inside if there's a problem. Outdoor lambings are usually slightly later in the year than indoor lambing to allow the grass to grow, and this will then help the mums make milk for their babies outside. Most ewes can make enough milk to help their babies grow, but some ewes that have more than 2 lambs might struggle to make enough milk, so sometimes us farmers have to take over and help by topping up the lamb with a bottle. We normally do this at least 4 times a day. Our lambs are left to grow up in the spring and summer sunshine until about August-September time when they are 5 months old, when they are then weaned from their mothers. Once the lambs are weaned off their mothers in September, we leave them to naturally graze the grass that we grow here at Kilmundy. In about November, the grass begins to grow a lot slower, and we top up their diet with a barley-based feed. So they're normally fed just on barley, and this barley here was grown at Kilmundy, and we feed all our stock off of homegrown barley. The barley comes into the shed in September at harvest, and it is treated with an acid called popcorn. This popcorn stops any mould growing and keeps the barley. In the winter time, grass doesn't grow as quickly as it does in the summer, and although we do feed our sheep on some barley to help them grow, they still need the fibre that they get from grass. So in preparation for winter, we create hay in the summer. This is hay here. It's a dried grass product. The grass is cut down, left out in the sun to dry, and then baled up. As I said, it's kept dry, so it needs to be kept under cover away from all the wind and rain, and it looks like this when it's fed to the sheep. These are some of our fat sheep. These will be sold live through the ring in normally about March, April time. These troughs here was where they get their barley fed, and then this ring here is where they get their hay. They have hay ad lib, which means they have hay all the time whenever they want it. We also feed our sheep on kale stubble turnip mix. So this is the kale. This is a tall leafy green plant, and then our stubble turnips are down here, much like the ones you buy in the shop, although smaller, and they don't taste as good. We feed our kale in blocks. So this bit here was 2 blocks where they're nearly finished now. In the next day or 2, this fence here that you can see, it'll get moved back into another block, and then they'll have this bit to eat. They grow really well off of this. It doesn't cost us much to grow it, and we always get quite a good crop when we grow it. When they're grazing the kale, they're always pooing and peeing where they're grazing, so that puts natural fertiliser back into the ground. And whenever we plough this up in April time to grow barley, we always find that the bits that have had kale will have a lot less inorganic fertiliser needed than the bits that don't have kale. The sheep always get a run back, so that's where they are just now. This is just a bare stubble, there's not much for them to eat there, but it means that they have time to relax, lie, let their food digest, and are not forced to lie on the dirty stubble amongst all these stalks. So these in here are our feeding ewes. These are ewes that can no longer produce lambs, and therefore we're fattening them up to sell to the market. There are many different reasons why ewes get drawn out of the breeding flock. Some of them could have bad udders, some of them might have bad legs or bad teeth, others might be just quite lean, or some might not be able to raise good lambs last year and therefore are getting too old to raise lambs this year. So they get fed in barley in these troughs here, and then a bale of hay in this little feeder here, and we'll fatten them up and we'll be selling them in about February, March time as fat ewes through the auction ring in Stirling.